Everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is April 2nd, 2026, and bombshell news because Inter Milan have given the green light to negotiate with Bastoni. Also, Barcelona scouts were watching Omar Marmoush, and finally, Barcelona considering the return of Abde. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and I'm bringing you this short live stream because today I had an incredibly long day, so I didn't have time to film, edit, and post. So instead, I'm doing this short live to bring you all Barcelona news. This is not a podcast, so I will not be reacting to your comments live. But of course, tomorrow, Friday, is podcast day. So tomorrow, Friday, I hope to see all of you guys there. Anyways, let's dive right into the news because today was the first training session back with all of the internationals. Because as you know, we work in a FIFA international break where most of the team had to leave for and report to their international squads. But now that the FIFA international break is over, all the players who left to join their national teams were back today at the Ciudad Esportiva, except, of course, for Rafinha, who will remain in Brazil to recover both physically and mentally from that injury that he suffered during a friendly match against France, which will see the Brazilian out for 5 weeks. Now, the team, of course, are getting prepared for Saturday's match in La Liga against Atletico de Madrid, a match that will be very difficult, especially since it's in Atletico Madrid Stadium, and also a match that Barcelona need to win because, of course, any drop in points at this stage of La Liga could prove very detrimental. Now, Frankie de Jong was still training alone. He did not train with the group, which of course confirms earlier reports that Frankie will not be available for this first match back. Instead, Barcelona are considering Frankie's return for April 11th, which will be the match against Espanyol. But Hansi Flick will have at his disposal, of course, Alejandro Balde and Jules Koundé. That is huge. These are our two starting fullbacks. They're both going to be available. And, of course, Eric Garcia as well. Now, given that Marc Bernal, of course, is going to have to continue covering for Frankie de Jong, who will be out, and given that Marc Bernal did participate in the FIFA international break with Spain's under-21 team, there are reports stating that we could see Tony Marquez gain more minutes as Hansi Flick will look to rotate Marc Bernal. So we're going to have to see, of course, how Tony Marquez continues to develop with the first team. Now, on to that next bit of news, because one big question mark for this summer transfer market is what's going to happen with Mark Ter Stegen. As you know, Barcelona are hoping to offload Mark Ter Stegen. They sent him on a free loan to Girona in hopes that he can get minutes there, get exposure, get a ticket to the World Cup where he could get even more exposure, and hopefully in the summer transfer market get some offers for him. But unfortunately, that plan was completely foiled when Mark Ter Stegen got injured immediately upon his arrival in Girona. It looks like he will be missing, the remainder of the season, or at least a huge portion of the remainder of the season. So the question is, what will Barcelona do? Because most likely Ter Stegen will be back at the end of the season. And, having not played, it's going to be almost impossible to try to get some offers. Well, it's reported that now what Barcelona are hoping happens is that Ter Stegen is able to recover. They're saying he's going to be back by May, which there's still 2 or 3 matches left in May. So Barcelona are hoping that Ter Stegen could be back by then, where he could play, at least 2-3 matches the last 2-3 matches left in La Liga. And if he does, they're hoping that that could give him some minutes with Germany in the World Cup, and hopefully all that combined can give Ter Stegen enough exposure to draw some offers or to attract some offers in the summer transfer market, because of course Barcelona continue to hope to offload the player because, well, we now have Joan Garcia. Not to mention we have a long list of goalkeepers coming back to Barcelona from loan, like Astralaga, Iñaki Peña, Jakobishvili, and of course we do have Diego Cochen, who's now the third goalkeeper. So Barcelona have a long list of goalkeepers, and their hope is that Ter Stegen will get some minutes before the end of the season. which will earn him a spot in the World Cup and which will then give him enough exposure to attract some offers. Now, speaking of the summer transfer market, we do have to talk about the bombshell news because, ladies and gentlemen, Inter Milan have given the green light to Bastoni and to Barcelona to negotiate the transfer of the Italian center back. Now, as you know by now, Bastoni is Deco's number one option to reinforce the center back position. Initially, Inter Milan were against offloading Bastoni, but given their financial situation where they need some big sales in order to balance their books, they have now switched positions and they are willing to offload Bastoni. Of course, it's reported that Bastoni has given the green light to his agent to negotiate with Barcelona, but of course, Barcelona also needed the green light from Inter Milan because usually if a player has a contract, you cannot negotiate with that player without getting the blessing from the club where he plays. Otherwise, you risk paying a fine. And while now Inter Milan have given the green light to both Bastoni to negotiate with Barca and to Barca to negotiate with Bastoni, which is absolutely huge, which again confirms the reports that yes, Inter Milan are willing to offload Bastoni this summer. Plus, also confirms those reports that I told you where Inter Milan are in fact already in search of Bastoni's replacement, which of course proves that Inter Milan know that Bastoni is leaving this summer. Now, Barcelona will continue negotiations with Bastoni in order to reach a personal agreement with the player on things like length of the contract, his salary, bonuses, things like that. Once the agreement is secured with Bastoni, Barcelona will then have to sit down with Inter Milan to try to agree on a transfer fee, where it's reported that Barcelona believe that they can agree to a 40 to 50 million euro fee for Bastoni. So big news today. And of course, I will be here giving you updates how these negotiations unfold. Now, on to that next bit of news, because as you know by now, this summer, not only is Barcelona looking to bring a center back, they're also looking to bring a center forward. One of the players they are considering, or one of the players on Barcelona's list, is, of course, the Egyptian Omar Marmoush, who Manchester City signed him this past summer for 75 million euros from Eintracht Frankfurt, where he managed 37 goals for the German team. But ever since his arrival in Manchester City, well, his minutes have gotten more and more diluted, which has now prompted the player to try to search for a new destination. And of course, Barcelona, who are in the market for a center forward, have Marmoush on their list. And in fact, it's reported that Barcelona scouts were seen at Espanyol Stadium, where Spain played against Egypt. And Barca scouts were there to, of course, observe Omar Marmoush to see how he plays up close and in person. Now, Omar Marmoush does have the same agent as Fermin Lopez, so that can, of course, facilitate things since Barcelona already have a relationship with that agency. But, of course, we're going to have to wait and see because, of course, Marmoush is not a top priority. He is on the list. I personally like Omar Marmoush a lot, but I don't think he should be the number one priority because what we need is a proper center forward. And Marmoush is not really a proper center forward. He's closer to a Julian Alvarez profile than an actual center forward. Nonetheless, I think he's a brilliant player. I would love to have him in Barca, but that's not what we're actually looking for. Now, on to that next bit of news, because as you know, Barcelona are also keeping a list of possible wingers in case the Rashford signing does not happen. We've talked about, Andreas Sheldrup, for example, who is on Barcelona's list. Is also Gian Virgili, who could Barcelona try to bring back. Well, another player that Barcelona have added to the list and could also be someone that comes back to Barcelona like Virgili is the Moroccan Abde, the 24-year-old left winger currently plowing his trade at Real Betis. Now, Abde, of course, did play for Barcelona. He signed for Real Betis back in the summer of 2023 in exchange for 7.5 million euros, and where Barcelona retained 20% of his value. And it's reported that now Barcelona are tracking the situation of Abde to see if perhaps he could be an option for Barcelona to bring him back this summer transfer market. Now, in my opinion, I like Abde. I think he's a good player, but I think he's more fit to a club like Real Betis mid-table team rather than actually a top team like Barcelona. But of course, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about Abde coming back to Barcelona? You're in favor? Are you not? Let me know down below. And of course, let me know also about Marmoush. What do you think? Do you think he would be a good fit for Barcelona? Let me know in the comment section. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. I did go live a few moments ago. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.